This easement proves I'm allowed to park here. You need to move your SUV.
I don't care what those papers say. You are violating the rules and I will have you fined.
Blue strobes bounced off wet asphalt while the tow truck idled outside my townhouse at 6:12 a.m., coughing diesel into the cold air that smelled like last night's rain and bitter coffee. The driver pointed at my sedan, backed into the narrow strip beside my garage, the only way to load groceries without a hike. She stood there in a lavender robe and a smirk, holding a neon cone like a scepter. "You are not allowed here," she said, breath fogging. She waved a laminated printout that looked official, the word violation in bold, and my mailbox already had the same red slip tucked inside like a threat. The truck's winch whined, steel cable clinking, and I felt that hot rush of panic that makes your hands shake even while you stand still. This whole mess boiled down to one thing: Karen seized my driveway spot. "You are not allowed here." Then I filed the easement. Our row was built in 2004, tight lots, shared access lanes, and a slice of pavement everyone treats like a no man's land until they need to unload a couch. On May 3, 2024, the HOA board changed the curb paint without notice. Overnight the faded gray became screaming yellow, and Karen taped up her own no parking sign like she was the sheriff. She called it her frontage and said anyone stopping there would be towed on site. The sign wasn't even straight. It leaned like her logic. I told the tow driver to check the plat map before he hooked my bumper. He shrugged. She rattled off her new authority like a recipe, and I stood there memorizing every second. I tried to be reasonable. First I emailed the board with screenshots of the original community map, the one in the welcome packet. No reply. Then I walked to the next meeting, the library's multipurpose room with the humming AC and brown stackable chairs. Neighbors stared at their shoes. Karen sat with the board like she already had a vote. I said this affects deliveries, emergency access, my own mobility when I'm hauling groceries at 9:00 p.m. The president cleared his throat and said we'll review. Karen said rules are rules. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I logged everything like a little TV detective. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. She had called the police on my cousin bringing me a bag of day-old bagels. I counted 8 complaints total by mid-May, all hers. Every time I spoke, the room went quiet like a church right before a storm. They ignored me, but I wasn't about to play street lawyer in a parking lot. I promised myself I'd use proper channels only. No sugar in gas tanks. No petty vandalism. Just paper, patience, and facts. I took a day off and went to the county records office where the air smelled like old paper and toner. I asked for the subdivision's plat, the recorded covenants, the amendments, and anything with driveway or access. The clerk pushed a cart and said hold on. When she rolled it out, the file landed with 63 pages. I read every one. My heart did the little drum solo when I found it, a recorded access easement running along the exact strip Karen had painted yellow, running from my garage edge to the shared lane for ingress and egress. Plain, simple, boring law: easements run with the land and you can't block them even if you think it's your spot. I paid $48 for certified copies. I emailed the board again, and this time I CC'd the city code inspector and our property manager. I also hired a surveyor for $250 to set temporary stakes. If they wanted rules, I'd bring them rules with coordinates. The payoff started on a sunny Saturday when the HOA hosted donuts and dogs in the cul-de-sac. I brought a portable projector, extension cord, and a folding table. Nothing illegal. Just a presentation. People gathered for free glaze and gossip. Karen wore a visor that said volunteer. She saw my table and rolled her eyes. I plugged in and pulled up the plat, big and bright against the side of the clubhouse. I tapped the space bar. There was the easement, highlighted. I tapped again. There were the certified stamps with dates and sequence numbers. Then I held up the surveyor's stakes like drumsticks and walked over to the curb she'd painted. The inspector, who happened to arrive for a routine sweep, crouched, measured, and snapped photos while my neighbors filmed on their phones. Karen huffed that private property is private. The inspector pointed with her pen at the map on the wall and the stakes in the ground. Access easement, she said. Then I flipped to the part of the covenants that banned homemade signage. The crowd made that low-o sound. Karen's sign suddenly looked very small, the edges curling in the heat. The public reaction was instant. Kids whispered like we were at a magic show. Someone from 2 streets over snickered, I knew it. The tow driver from that first morning rolled by, saw the crowd, and kept rolling. One neighbor live-streamed, and by that evening the clip had 5,000 views and comments like HOA Justice and I love a paper trail. My favorite was a slow pan across the projector that caught Karen's face just as the words ingress and egress lit her visor like a halo. I wasn't cruel, I just let the pages speak. I laid out the binder so people could flip through. Receipts everywhere. One guy joked that I should teach a class on lawful petty. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Authority flipped faster than a pancake. The inspector issued a notice to remove the illegal sign and to repaint the curb to neutral within 10 days. The board scheduled an emergency session, and this time they actually read. The president called me at 3:14 p.m. on a Tuesday and said thank you for the documentation. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted, I reminded him gently, pointing to the 8 calls she'd made, including that 4:27 a.m. bagel drop. On June 12, the board voted 5-1 to rescind the new paint policy, reinstate the recorded access rights, and fine Karen $300 for non-compliant signage and harassment, payable within 30 days. The city sent a letter. The police added a note to stop responding to her parking fantasies. She tried to sputter that I was dangerous. The video of the map behind me said otherwise. Aftermath came quietly, which is my favorite kind. The curb went back to gray. The tow truck stopped visiting. Karen now parks like the rest of us and waves in a tight little motion that could be hello or I give up. The board posted a clear map on the bulletin board and on the website so new owners know the rules. Deliveries actually got easier, the Amazon driver said thanks, dude, and left a smiley face on my package on July 1st. One neighbor baked me cinnamon rolls and slid a note under my door that said thank you for keeping it classy. I even helped an older couple move a dresser one afternoon, rolling it along the exact strip she tried to claim. Peace feels like Sunday morning with no flashing lights, just the smell of fresh coffee and the quiet click of my garage door. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.